Welcome back to our channel, Living on the Ohio River. Hi, I'm Carrie Henshaw from Key Associates Signature Realty, and I love doing videos at least once a week. If you've been following me, if you're new though, tap that subscribe button. Wouldn't want you to miss anything that I put out there around Southern Indiana or Northern Kentucky. I am a local realtor. As much as I love to do these videos, if you are looking to relocate to the area or looking to invest in the area, reach out, call, text, email me. I got your back if you're coming to the Southern Indiana or Ohio River Valley area. As you've heard on the news, if you have heard it on the news, I'm not sure. If not, I'm giving you some education today. I'm gonna talk about nightly rentals. If you're looking to possibly invest in nightly rentals, this is gonna be the video to listen to. The news as we hear it today, occupancy rates are going down, the economy's changing. And with that said, maybe there's some potential opportunity for you to look into investment properties and nightly rentals, especially where people, maybe they have high loans on them and it's just getting to a point where it's putting them in financial difficulty. This might be an opportunity for you to come in and get a deal if you are a little bit more financially secure and get an investment property as a nightly rental. So Indiana, why would you invest in a nightly rental in Indiana? Well, currently there are 7,500 nightly rentals that we know of, or at least that I found on the internet, that are actually in the state of Indiana. And that's not all Southern Indiana, but honestly, Southern Indiana has a lot of opportunity for nightly because we have so much attraction here with outdoor stuff, just amusement, and just different cities and businesses that you may need to travel to. So it is a place to look at, and it also might be even a lower cost of entry if you're looking at nightly rentals versus an oceanfront property on Florida's coast. Because a lot of people, I think that more when they think nightly rentals versus maybe the state of Indiana, for example. One good thing about Indiana and nightly rentals is they actually passed a bill in 2018. It's called House Bill 1035 or 1035, I don't know what they call it, but that is the bill that really covers nightly rentals and what the rules are around it, which is a good thing. There's a lot of states that have nothing in law about nightly rentals, so there's no disputes on what it takes to do a nightly rental in Indiana. So you can reference that bill, take a look at it, and look at what restrictions are out there and where you can do a VRBO. One thing to consider when you are looking at some of those touristy towns or just where you're gonna have this nightly rental, if the home is sitting in an association, covenant restrictions, most likely you're not gonna be able to do a VRBO. You might wanna contact that association, get the CNRs, and understand the rules around that. That's one thing the House bill does not, it does cover it, but it does say that if there are CNRs and associations, that they do have rules that have been in place for a long time and that actually may trump anything that the bill might say. So just make sure you understand that. It's kind of like a higher up level than just the cities and what their requirements are. One thing to look at right now, I did look at the occupancy and it's at 60% as a state right now. So Indiana does rank 33 in regards to being like a nightly rental state and 23 for what we get for occupancy rates in the state of Indiana. So some things to think about, some statistics to think about as you look at investing in Indiana. So why buy an investment property as a nightly rental? It might be pure money. You just want cash flow every month to add to your bottom line. It may be that you come to Indiana a lot and you want to use it part of the year, or maybe you like certain areas of Southern Indiana and you just want to come visit and have it for 2 weeks. There's a lot of versatility that you can have with nightly rentals of why you would maybe want to purchase it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of go through Southern Indiana, Northern Kentucky area, probably more Southern Indiana, a little bit more than Kentucky, but I'm going to kind of just talk about what it takes to think about investing in a nightly rental, and then maybe what areas to potentially look at if you are coming to the Southern Indiana region. So how do you get started in nightly rentals? So I purchased my first nightly rental, I would say 5 years ago, I think. I don't remember exactly. So I am in the nightly rental business, so I am talking from some expertise here. And a lot of people are like, well, what does it take? What do you have to do to really get started in this market? So the first thing obviously is you need to go shop and look for houses that make sense for a nightly rental environment. You don't want to go get a rental in the middle of nowhere that's not anywhere near anything that nobody would really rent to go use. So what I thought I'd do at first is for the scouting of where you might look, I'm gonna kind of just highlight some areas, some things to think about in the southern Indiana area and in northern Kentucky. So if you look at like the Ohio River Valley area of Indiana and Kentucky, there's a lot of different locations, a lot of different amusements that people would come and need a nightly rental. So let's start on the very west side of the state, like Indiana and Kentucky. And like I said, I'm just kind of sticking to this area, not all of Indiana or Kentucky. But Evansville, for example, or Newburgh maybe, there is a lot of entertainment. You got the Ford Center, you got things downtown. People are coming to visit, they're going to those concerts, or maybe just activities in the town in general that they're coming and needing a nightly stay and maybe just don't want to stay in a hotel. So there's great opportunities for houses in the downtown area and other areas as well, but that's what I'm thinking of first, as well as downtown Newburgh for different things. And people also do nightly rentals, maybe if they're coming in for business for just a month or two. So it's not necessarily just amusement. If you do have some kind of corporations that are nearby that are fairly big that has that kind of clientele coming in, that's something else to think about in these towns, especially the bigger towns like in Evansville. As you keep going down, I would look at like the Henderson area. Again, it's someone that could be visiting Henderson or Evansville. And maybe the Owensboro area coming in. It has its different things with the Bluegrass Festival and just different events that it holds with the barbecue and all that great stuff that Owensboro has is just enjoying their amazing riverfront. You also, across the river from Owensboro, let's go back into Indiana, you have Santa Claus. Of course, Santa Claus, Indiana is gonna have VRBOs and Airbnbs. Or nightly rentals, as I say. There is an amusement park there, so there is an attraction of something to look at in the Santa Claus area. You want to travel up to maybe Jasper. Jasper may be another one. It's maybe a little bit touristy, but also maybe just job related. There is a lot of corporations in Jasper that people might travel in that would need a house to live in and would look at a nightly rental. As we keep going down the river, I should say, then we get what I call the very nature type events. If you get into Perry, you have Magnet and Derby, beautiful places right off the river with cabins, a lot of VRBOs there. You go north in Perry and even into Orange and Crawford, you got Patoka Lake and you got Hoosier National Forest. So there's a lot of nightly rental areas around that area, log cabins, for you to enjoy, either or, depending on what you're into, if it's the forest and hunting and that kind of thing, or boating on the Lake of Patoka. As we keep going down, we also have Paoli, which I should say not down, it's up, but we have skiing in that area. We have Marengo Cave. These are just some of the amusements that you will find as you travel down 64 towards Louisville. And then again, as we get closer to Louisville, you also have a lot of VRBO activity, and that's mainly just because of the Louisville, the town itself. I mean, there's a lot to do in Louisville. There's a lot of things bringing people to Louisville. You're gonna have probably a lot of VRBO activity on both sides of the river of Louisville, just because of where it sits. So you found the property. So I kind of gave you some areas to look at. I'm not saying you can't go in the countryside and look outside these areas, but in general, those are places that if you get on the nightly rental sites, you will see homes for rent in these areas. So you purchased your house, or it's like you found your house, I should say, and you closed on it. What is the next step? I don't know if it needs any remodeling, but obviously you're gonna have to get the house furnished and ready for a nightly rental. They're gonna need all the stuff from linens and kitchen utensils. I mean, it is gonna need to be a stacked house like you're a home away from home. So that is the first thing you need to do, is obviously need to get the house equipped for a nightly rental. The second thing is, where do I advertise this house? How are people gonna find my nightly rental? There's a few sites out there. A lot of people know VRBO and a lot of people know Airbnb. HomeAway is another one. And then you can also have your own personal site, especially as you got more traction and people know about your house, you can get off of those sites and do your own thing. But that is where you're gonna list most of your nightly rentals and where most people go to honestly look for nightly rentals. What is that gonna cost you? Well, I currently use VRBO, so I'm gonna give you what I know there. It's roughly about $500 a year for the package that I pick, which is unlimited bookings and stuff. They don't charge you per booking. And that allows me to advertise my property on VRBO. Now, one thing to consider, they don't take any other money from you as the landlord, I should say, from VRBO. And I don't know if Airbnb is exactly any different, but they do charge a lot more to your client that is booking it. So there is another line item, if you notice, when you actually do your bookings that VRBO is taking from the people that are actually renting your house. So it's not really out of your pocket, but it does something that you have to kind of consider because it does put more money on top of the price that you list. So the next question is, what do I list my property for? How much do I rent it for? I have no idea. Well, the best research is go look at VRBO, Airbnb, and HomeAway and look at the towns that you're potentially looking to invest in or you bought, and get an idea of what houses are listed and at what prices and how big are they. And you can kind of come up with an idea of what your return will be. And this is something actually you should probably do before you even purchase, because then you have an idea of what your cash flow will be, what you have into the house and what you will actually get out of the house. So that's something to consider when you are pricing the home, or what you will price the home as a nightly rate. Another thing to consider, you are a nightly rental. This is not an annual rental, so taxes for sales tax are due to the state. So that's something that some people don't deal with. And so one thing that is really good in regards to VRBO and Airbnb and those booking sites is they can actually pay the tax for you. They collect it and they pay it. So that is one bonus if you do register on those sites, that they can help take care of that. Now, if, let's say you don't register on the site, you have your own website, then you are responsible for paying that tax into the state, which is the 7%, and collecting it. So those are things to consider on the tax avenue of nightly rentals. Another thing to look into is some counties have an innkeeper's tax. This is tax on top of the state sales tax, and this is mainly usually a lodging innkeeper's tax, is why they call it that. So, for example, in some counties, there may be 5 or 6% on top of the 7 that you're collecting for taxes. So that's something that you need to consider, especially to make sure that you are collecting enough tax upfront when you start pricing the home for when you're gonna obviously rent it out. So do you manage your VRBO or nightly rental, or do you actually have someone else manage it for you? I would say in Southern Indiana, there's not tons of companies that can manage those for you, like a Florida, for example. I mean, I know in Florida, there's a lot of real estate agents that will actually manage the properties for you when it comes to cleaning and the booking and just making sure things are taken care of and managed. I'm not saying there aren't people here, I just know that it's not a main business like Florida, that there's certain agents that are dedicated to it. So keep in mind, if you are investing in the area, that most likely have someone that can help you manage it, or yourself, because most likely you're not going to find a company that will assist in managing it like normally in the big touristy areas, I should say. The things you really got to consider is who's going to clean the house after every booking, who's going to make those beds and clean the linens, which is one thing I hate. If you ask me, I hate the linens, but it is part of the thing. You have to clean a lot of linens. Who's going to maintain the lawn care and just the maintenance of the property. You just need to understand who those people are, and it's not really a big deal once you identify who's going to do all those activities, and just set them in play and hire them. And one good thing about, like, for example, the cleaning, in all the nightly booking sites, you can actually put a cleaning fee on top of your booking fee that will cover those cleaning costs. So that is one good thing that does help. And then let's say you're scared about people destroying the property, you can also collect a deposit on both of those sites that is obviously returned back to them once they leave and you see that the house is in good condition. So 2 things to think about regarding money and the whole booking process around nightly rentals. So I hope I got you ready to buy that nightly rental. Actually, it's a great investment. I've really enjoyed my nightly rental. It's a good way to make income, even as a full-time job, depending on why you're moving to Indiana. Maybe one spouse is working, one is relocating and has to find a new job. It is something to consider as a full-time job because the income can be very good depending on the house and where it's at and what rates you get for them. So something to consider, but I would love to help you. Like I said, I'm in the business. I am a owner of a nightly rental, so I do understand what it takes. I understand how to run them. So if you're looking to potentially invest in Southern Indiana, Northern Kentucky, I could help you identify areas to look or start looking or watching, and then just really how to get started. I can definitely give you all those steps to look out for and what you need to do to get going. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you buy that nightly rental soon. And until next time, I'll see you then.